Okay, dann ist das also sein Vater. Stimmt, der hieß Peterson. Der wurde... Der macht wahrscheinlich jetzt diese zwielichtigen Geschäfte, weil er den Job nicht bekommen hat, ne?
How do you feel?
I'm fine. I mean, it's not easy every day, but I'm fine. I'm just tired of being sick all the time. If only I could be tough like... Well, you know.
Speaking of which, what can you tell me about your father?
My father is an idiot who makes idiot things. That's all I have to say.
Erschöpfung hat er. Ah, da können wir doch direkt mal heilen, oder?
Do you need any medical help, young man?
Yes, I do. I feel so tired. I don't know if it's the epidemic, but everything seems so hard.
Medizin geben.
You'll feel better with this. But you need to get a grip, young man. Medication alone won't cure melancholia.
I'm not sure I'm happy with the idea of living long in a world like this. But I thank you for your concern, sir.
Holt sich gerade.
Forgive my bluntness, young man, but you don't seem happy living in Whitechapel.
Why should I? I never wanted to come here in the first place. It was my father's decision. And look around you. Does this look like a nice place to live?
Ehrlich gesagt nicht. Also es sieht eher so aus, als möchte man hier nicht auf der Straße rumlaufen. Mich wundert echt, dass hier so viele Leute auf der Straße rumlaufen.
You have a roof over your head, a place to call home. Many people here are not as lucky, you know.
That's exactly what my father says. Harry, you should be grateful for what you've got. I wasn't even consulted when we moved here.
If life here is so terrible for you, why don't you just leave this place? Have you ever spoken to your father about it?
I don't go outside. It terrifies me so. I went outside once without my father noticing and I saw terrible things. Bloody and frightening things.
So that's why you stay at home all day? For fear of the epidemic?
I'm not afraid of disease or death, Dr. Reid. It's the living I'm afraid of.
Would it ease tensions with your father if he got an honest job? Because he tried, you know.
I can't say. I'd be glad if he dropped his thuggish activities, but I'm not sure it would be enough.
Why is that?
Sometimes I suspect it's me, Dr. Reid. Or it's this life. It's like I can't find my place.
Okay, wenn du so gerne sterben möchtest, dann werde ich vielleicht dich und deinen Vater aus dem Weg räumen und aussaugen.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
Yes, I know her. She came here to examine me when I was very sick. She said I should go out more.
Schauen wir uns das mal gerade an. Okay, ihn könnte ich theoretisch aussaugen, ne? Er hat... Wenn ich den letzten Hinweis habe, er hat... Ihn kann ich wirklich mit einem Punkt überzeugen. Allerdings gehört er auch zu Barrett Lewis und zu Joe Peterson. Was hat Barrett Lewis denn genau mit ihm zu tun?
Goodbye, young man. Take care of yourself.
Even my dreams are soaked with gloom.
So, wer seid ihr beiden? Ah, das ist doch Joe Peterson.
You again? What do you want this time?
Harry doesn't seem happy living in Whitechapel. Why did you make him come here?
I've always put my son's interests above everything else, whatever he may think. Our house is small but affordable. The walls are thin, but the door is solid.
You really love your son, don't you, Mr. Peterson?
He's my pride and joy. Even if he hates me for the choices I make and pushes me buttons more than he should.
Do you have any regrets?
Only one. Not to have my beloved wife by my side. She died when Harry was little. My sweet Jane. She gave the boy confidence.
Since the criminal nature of your job means you could be arrested, are you not afraid of what would happen to your boy if you were?
No one will ever take my son away from me. If that ever occurred, I'd hunt the bastard down and rip off his head with my bare hands.
Ja, die Einstellung meine ich, du Idiot.
Why do you keep on working for the gang, Joe? You know it doesn't suit you.
It's true, I hate this job. And I know I made some bad choices, but I'm a wet boot boy now, and people won't forget it.
You could leave tomorrow. Start another life in another town.
That's easy for you to say, Doctor. We are poor. My son's weak, and there's no way he'll endure another disappointment.
Ist er denn gesund? Ja, er ist gesund. Und dein Sohn wird aber auch bald gesund sein. Ich habe ihm eben Medizin angeboten.
How did you become the local bully everyone is afraid of, Joe?
There's no pride in roughing up poor bastards. But this is the only job I've found. And it pays well, too.
A job? So you're racketeering for someone else?
I got enlisted by the Wet Boot Boys, a gang from the docks. I'm their muscle for their dirty work.
Most people don't become thugs when unemployed. This is a choice you made.
I don't care what you think, sir. I do what I have to do for my own reasons, and that's that.
I'm not sure Mr. Lewis would agree with your by all means necessary philosophy, sir.
Oh, do you really think he's the poor victim here? Barrett can be as sneaky as anyone. Long ago, I even called the bastard my best friend.
Erzähl weiter. Okay, ich hab... Boah, krass, ich habe ziemlich viele Hinweise jetzt gefunden.
Goodbye, Mr.
Dann werden wir doch mal mit Mr. Lewis sprechen. Steht doch direkt hier.
Fancy buying something, sir?
Vielleicht räume ich auch einfach alle drei aus dem Weg.
Do you? Joe Peterson. He's the villain here, isn't he? But you seem to know each other.
I've known Joe for years. I saw him box once or twice. He was a friend then. And these days, he's just another thug.
What can you tell me about Mr. Peterson? Besides his behavior toward you, obviously.
Colossus Joe was a decent boxer, good one even. But after his wife passed away, he found every excuse to stop training. Just wanted to pick fights with everyone.
Without making excuses for him, it's safe to say that despair can poison even the sanest mind.
We've all had some rough times, ain't we? But most of us don't use our fists to see us through.
And no one has ever stood up to this thug.
Nobody would be fool enough to stand against a wet boot boy.
What do you know of Harry Peterson? The boy seems so fragile. Not like his father at all.
Harry's a good boy, but he spends most of his time complaining. He's had it tough, all right, but he needs to grow a pair.
What troubles him exactly?
Well, despite being his father's son, almost everything, I think. He never wanted to come to Whitechapel in the first place. Hates this place more than most of us.
Der hat wahrscheinlich einfach Depressionen oder sowas in der Richtung, oder?
Goodbye for now, Mr. Lewis.
You again? What you...
Goodbye, Mr. Peterson.
Rede nochmal mit seinem Sohn.
Good evening, Harry.
Sure. Even my dreams are soaked with
Lässt er mich
joy.
immer rein. Sehr schön.
So, may I ask you a few questions?
I'm not bothered.
Your father and Mr. Lewis used to be good friends. What happened, Harry?
I was young then. I don't remember Mr. Lewis ever coming back again after my mother died. Or was it after my father started bullying him? I don't know.
Oder irgendwas mit ihm gehabt, oder was?
Have you tried speaking to Mr. Lewis about it?
I don't go out often, but yes. And he scolded me and told me to leave him alone. I guess my father frightens him too much.
Vielleicht ist er auch gar nicht Petersens Sohn.
But you are not responsible for your father's actions.
Am I not? Dad always says that he joined that gang for my safety. So if I wasn't born, people wouldn't be worrying about Colossus Joe.
Goodbye, young man.
Even my dreams are so
Neuen Hinweis habe ich nicht
glue.
bekommen. Noch einmal hier den... Ah, ich kann eigentlich beide noch mal kurz drauf ansprechen. Reichte nicht als Hinweis. Das hat irgendwas mit der Mutter zu tun. Was der Vater da gegen ihn hat, glaube ich. Vielleicht hat der irgendwie eine Affäre gehabt mit der Mutter. Gott, der Bezirk ist zu groß. Das heißt zu groß, aber es gibt echt viel zu erkunden hier. Wird der Verrückte jetzt zu erzählen? Ach Gott, so viele Verrückte hier.
Forgive my interruption.
Do not apologize, my son. Father Tobias Whitaker is always happy to teach mortals about the incoming Armageddon.
I am Dr. Jonathan Reid, and I just have a few questions.
A scientist? You are much more lost than I thought, my son.
Ausnahmsweise mal ein Gesunder.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know? Blinded by science as I am.
But you are seeking answers, aren't you? Answers about the Armageddon about to strike the city. Answers about the hidden truth.
Well, I suppose I can spare a few minutes listening to your so-called truth.
As a doctor, you must be aware of the decimating epidemic. But let me tell you that this so-called Spanish flu is just the beginning of the end.
What do you mean?
The beast is finally revealing itself, corrupting the flesh and the heart of men. With my own eyes I have seen them, those minions from the abyss.
Er meint Vampire oder was?
Really? And what would be your answer to this biblical threat?
We must fight the disease before this legion outnumbers us. But not with scalpels and microscopes. No.
What is left then?
Cleansing fire.
Der Typ ist auf jeden Fall ein bisschen verrückt.
Tell me, Tobias, what exactly is your plan concerning the cleansing of this city?
God will recognize his own. More than once this city has risen from the ashes, hardened and purified by the flames.
Purification by fire has proved useful, but where do you stop? Burn the clothes? The buildings? The corpses? Worse?
Your lack of faith is predictable. But my task is to convince rational minds like yours to see the light. This is God's will.
You're mad and dangerous. You're nothing but a soulless butcher. A small-time Torquemada. The Savonarola of Whitechapel.
My son, if you think salvation is a free gift, go listen to the lies of that pompous fool, Joseph.
Joseph, a fool?
Vicar Larrabee of St. Mary's Church. While he continues preaching his fraudulent redemption, more and more people die in the streets.
Will er einfach alles, will er das ganze Viertel anzünden? Habe ich irgendwie so langsam ein Gefühl. Ich mir gerne mal das gesamte Viertel anschauen. Ah ja, hier. Ah, okay, er steht außen vor. Das heißt, könnte wirklich gefährlich sein, wenn er hier wirklich das ganze Viertel anstecken will. Beziehungsweise, ja, anstecken will und quasi verbrennen möchte. Und er ist alleine, also vielleicht sollten wir ihn irgendwann mal außer Gefecht setzen.
What do you mean when you say that I am more lost than you thought?
All scientists are entangled in a world of causes and consequences. And most of them can't see the plain truth.
Quite a judgmental opinion, if you ask me. But what do I know?
But you are
Okay, das hatten wir eigentlich alles schon.
What do you...
the beast.
Good evening.
It's fu-
Aber der hatte noch mehr zu sagen, oder?
Have you any friends? Any family left in these terrible times?
No. But I have a disciple I see as my son. He is so devoted. I sent him to preach the good word in the heart of this corrupted city.
Where did you send him?
I sent Samuel to the Stonebridge Cemetery, where the pestilence and evil grows night after night.
You sent him on some preaching crusade during the epidemic.
As a true believer, Samuel will fear no evil while he walks through the valley of the shadow of death.
Der hat einfach irgendeinen Jugendlichen wahrscheinlich in den Tod geschickt.
Do you know Nurse Dorothy Crane from the Pembroke Hospital? I'd like to know more about her.
I don't like the liberal ideas of nurses, but I especially abhor that Nurse Crane you mentioned.
Why do you hate Nurse Crane more than other nurses?
Before coming to London, she was a member of the communist resistance in her
Wusste
country.
ich, dass sie Russin ist.
That's what happens when you let a woman get involved in politics.
So, you're not exactly a fan of Florence Nightingale's work. But nurses are essential for modern healthcare.
Nuns should be the only women allowed to take care of male patients. It's obvious only they have the necessary moral fiber.
I have heard enough for tonight. Goodbye.
Okay. Testmarker zeigt uns ja an, dass wir hier richtig sind und hier wahrscheinlich auch mit irgendjemandem sprechen sollen. Hier nochmal die Gasse entlang da hinten. Da wird wahrscheinlich entweder wird es zur Sackgasse werden, dass wir dort noch gar nicht weiterkommen, oder wir erreichen dort einen Bezirk, in den ich jetzt aber noch gar nicht will. Das kennen wir auch noch nicht. Mein Gott, so viele Leute hier wieder, ne? Sprechen wir mit ihm auch nochmal. Ach, du bist der Reporter hier.
But perhaps you could help me since you're a journalist. My name is Jonathan Reid.
Dr. Reid, the famous surgeon. I'll gladly help if I'm able, sir.
Verrückt, dass hier ein Reporter rumläuft, ne? Nicht besonders sicher. Kann ich direkt auch heilen im Prinzip.
Do you need assistance?
That would be nice of you, Doctor. Who knows what I may have caught you in my investigation.
If you persist in investigating the most pox-ridden boroughs of London, you must accept the risks.
Thank you, sir.
Why are the newspapers keeping silent about the Spanish influenza? It's as though none of you care.
There's a war going on. People shouldn't be demoralized by news of deadly diseases.
If no one stops it, this epidemic could turn into a scourge. It may kill more people than the war itself.
Yes, this is another kind of war, but just as deadly. History will judge us all for what we did and what we did not.
What is a journalist doing in this borough after sunset?
He goes where none of his colleagues would dare to go, to inform the country.
Mhm.
So you risk your life to reveal the truth.
Ich dachte, die Magazine sprechen nicht darüber, beziehungsweise die Zeitung.
Whitechapel is the crucible of so many untold stories and tragedies. I want people to know them.
That's quite honorable of you. But is the public interested?
Not at all, sir. And that's why I'm an independent
Sag ich doch.
journalist, hoping to sell some stories.
Have you any idea of the danger you face in these streets at night?
I've had to run and hide more than once from frenzied mobs incensed by the fever. Do you think the flu is really responsible for this, Doctor?
I'm convinced there is more at work here than a simple epidemic.
Really? To be honest, I could say the same. Some of the sick I saw or heard of. My God, what happened to them?
Goodbye, Mr. Darby. Farewell.
Ein verrückter Typ, dass der hier einfach so rumläuft. Und Geschichten aufschreibt, die eigentlich niemanden interessieren.